Hey guys, it's Spunkify here, and I am the US editor for MMOBomb.com.
Good morning, YouTube, and welcome to another MMO Anthropology interview, and I have Spunkify with us. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing pretty good, just hanging out here in Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, as he said, we're in Guild Wars 2, and interestingly enough, Spunkify was requested by one of our viewers for me to go interview him. And the first question, as always, why Guild Wars 2?
Because it's amazing. It's really fun. And we walked into a lot of people here I didn't expect. So.
Yeah, just to let everyone know, we're in World versus World. That is the PvP, and I am about to totally get killed by another pyro.
It's alright. I'm gonna make it away.
So.
Oh, maybe you're gonna wake it up. Ah, come on. Now they're catching up to me now.
I noticed that you are playing a warrior. What I know that in Guild Wars 2, your weapons basically choose your skill set. So which ones did you choose and why?
Well, I'm still running away from these guys. Holy crap, they're still coming after me. I chose warrior because it's probably one of the only classes I didn't play in beta, and there was several classes I enjoyed in beta, but warrior always seemed to interest me a lot. Oh god, they've caught up to me.
Oh.
Warrior seemed to always interest me a lot because I like the greatsword skills, and I like the fact that I played warriors in like World of Warcraft, so I like the idea of brutal attacks and doing a lot of large swinging with lots of great swords and big maces and such. So I thought, hey, why not just do that with warrior class in this game? So that's why I chose it. As far as what skills I use, I go with the greatsword with my main weapon, which gives me a lot of slash damage, and then I go with the rifle as my secondary weapon, which is good for targets that I can't really get close to, because in Guild Wars there's a lot of targets that aren't really melee friendly, so you have to kind of stand back and use your range spells on them, because they're just really hard to just attack and assault head on, I guess you could say.
Catch up with you again. Yeah, I know the greatsword has a lot of interesting little AoE effects. I've got a low-level warrior. So the next question, of course, is what kind of MMO do you play on a regular basis? I know that you, review a lot of them, but what types do you come back to and keep playing?
I actually don't play a lot of MMOs for a long period of time. I typically play, I'd say the minimum, if I'm enjoying an MMO, the minimum I'll play is still about halfway through. And then I'll really try to assess if I'm enjoying the MMO. For example, the top MMOs I played recently were Aeon. This was before I went free to play, mind you. Star Wars and World of Warcraft, of course, and then also Guild Wars 2. And I have to say the only two I've really got to max level in would be Guild Wars 2. Well, I'm almost max level in Guild Wars 2 right now. And then, of course, World of Warcraft. I'm trying to figure out a way to get down here. Now, as the other MMOs, what I find is that I'll get bored, or I'll end up just thinking I can come back to this, or I could play the exact same thing in a different MMO that I'm already invested time in. So there's no real purpose for me to continue playing this MMO. So I've had that issue a lot. I had that issue with Star Wars. I played Star Wars to about level 41, and then decided to quit. And so really, I don't play a lot of MMOs, and I don't really come back to a lot of them. I have a kind of a core one or two that I play whenever I want to play MMOs, but otherwise I don't find myself addicted or desperately craving MMOs. Pretty much I have an MMO that I come back to every time I want to play, specifically MMORPGs. What
goes into helping you choose those ones that you go back to when you're looking for the ones where you want to play specifically an MMORPG?
So there's typically two things that make me come back to an MMO. It's number one, how fun the PvP is, And number 2 is how fun the PvE is. And they can be 2 separate MMOs and offer 2 separate things. So for example, with Guild Wars 2 currently, I am enjoying thoroughly the PvE as well as the PvP. So I don't, it's exactly everything I want in my MMOs right now. So I'm perfectly content just playing Guild Wars. However, in the past, I liked playing, for example, World of Warcraft for, not for the PvE, but for the PvE, the raids. I really enjoyed those. So I found myself playing those quite a lot. I just got that guy on the ground. Awesome. And then as far as PvP goes, I would always choose different MMOs. I chose Star Wars as one of the MMORPGs I was playing for PvP. I enjoyed the PvP in that game, enjoyed like Huffleball and stuff like that. But in the past, it was like DC Universe Online. I thought that PvP was interesting, and it really just comes down to what unique aspects to the game are available that I haven't experienced yet. So one of the things for Guild Wars is the whole World versus World, what we're doing right now. The cool thing about World versus World is that, this is something that we really haven't experienced a lot in a lot of MMOs to this scale done so well, where, you're interacting with siege weapons. I mean, we've had Warhammer Online, which is kind of like this, but I feel like Guild Wars has really executed it really well. So I come back to Guild Wars to play this and to do some of the PvE elements. I like some of the large-scale battles that are available in the game. But yeah, that's generally what it breaks down to. I come back for PvE, and then I might come back to a different MMO for the PvP.
So I know that you mentioned siege weapons and Huffleball, in fact, and I noticed that when it comes to new PvP, a lot of people are always looking for a new variation or a new way that it's being done. And that has a tendency to bring people in and sometimes hold on to them. And Huffleball was considered to be a little bit of a new variation. How did you, how did that change your experience? How did you enjoy that?
Well, I just like the fact that there was... With Huffleball, there was different levels, of course, and it was Star Wars, and it was fresh, and it was new, and people enjoyed it. Huffleball kind of got tedious after a while because they didn't really capitalize on the fact that it was just, or they didn't change the fact that it was getting used so often in queue whenever you queue up for PvP.
Too popular.
Yeah, it was. It just there wasn't. It was one of the game modes that didn't rely on faction balance, so you could have the same faction fighting each other.
Right.
So what I liked about Huffleball is just that it had the different, kind of. There's nothing going on here. I thought there was. It had the different kind of like fire traps, the different traps on the ground, stuff like that. You can kind of kick people in or shock people and stun them, and then the fire trap would finish them off or something like that. The flames. So I thought that was kind of cool to be able to use the environment to your advantage, and if you timed a skill right, the environment would do damage to that person. Here's somebody we can take out. So I thought that was actually a really cool. Little aspect to it. Fighting this Mesmer over here right now. He's gonna go down.
I'm with you.
Here he is. So yeah, I really enjoyed those aspects of it. There we go.
How do you use, in terms of entertainment, since that's what most people come to MMOs for, aside from just the social aspect of finding their friends online, how do you use MMO games differently than you do other entertainment, like books or television or movies?
Well, with MMOs, I got some little loot bags here. So with MMOs, I can play them with other people, and you don't really have to socialize. You can socialize without socializing, I guess you could say. And I know that's kind of like, a lot of people are like, oh, that's a bad thing to do. But hey, sometimes you just don't want to talk to people, but you want to play with other people.
True.
And I feel a lot of times an MMO gives you the ability to do that. Whereas if you go to the movie, or if you go out, with people, go see an event or something like that, you're generally going to be talking with them. And this is just a nice way where you can either enjoy it with friends or just enjoy it with random people. Enjoy a group setting environment, a group activity. But not have to socialize more than you would want if you're not feeling good or whatever. It gives you those. I'm not saying that you shouldn't socialize. I'm just saying that there are times where it's better, or you just don't feel like socializing.
True.
As much.
I guess it gives you the same sort of you're not forced with the responsibility to interact with other people, especially if you're burnt out with interacting with other people, but at least you know that you're not totally alone.
Yeah, I mean, like, the thing about, like, single-player games, for example, if you want to compare it to single-player games, single-player games are great. It's a great pastime. I love playing single-player games, RPGs, and just, actually, I really enjoy shooters with good stories. So I'm playing through, for example, the Half-Life 1 remake, Black Mesa, and that's a great experience. But there's times when I like to see other people enjoying or talking about something that I'm also enjoying at the same time. And I like the fact that MMOs kind of give you that gateway to be able to do that. I'm just like running around here collecting stuff. I'm just like autopilot mode, just running around collecting. There's a skill point up here we can do together. Let's go do that.
Sure. Well, we're running up on the end of time for this interview, so my final question is, what is your favorite experience or most memorable moment from an MMO game?
Probably my most favorite experience from an MMO game was the first time I ever raided, and the first game I ever raided in was World of Warcraft. That was the first MMO I ever got like super serious about, and I raided Karazhan. This was in Burning Crusade, and I remember just one day, I felt like a lowly paladin, this lowly Retribution paladin that at the time Retribution paladins were trash and nobody played them. Nobody played them seriously, and so I was playing it and. Getting in that raid with different people, it was really enjoyable. It looks like you're down. I got you back up.
Thank you.
So yeah, playing that and getting the experience of raid, getting the opportunity to kind of have my first taste of coordinated PvE content was really enjoyable. Mass coordinated PvE content, I should say, with 20 people or so. Or however many Karazhan needed at the time, I forget exactly. But yeah, that was probably my most memorable experience. I definitely remember that, and that was really fond memory. That in the beginning of Wrath of the Lich King were probably some of the most fun I've ever had in MMO. Just like because it was new and it was fresh, and the idea of MMOs were quite new, so it was just enjoyable.
I've always really enjoyed the idea of massive amounts of teamwork, or at least a certain level of teamwork, and then after that, having a hell of a lot of fun just beating on things.
Yeah, that's one thing that I really enjoy about MMOs is that like for example, when I used to raid, the coordinated efforts of 25 people was just astounding to me. That 25 people could execute 7 to 8 minutes worth of raiding and do it perfectly, and get a kill or stuff like that. That always to me felt so epic to know that 25 different people were doing 25 different things at a time for one end goal was quite astounding for me, and that's one thing that really always is what takes me back to MMOs. Just the idea of that massive scale and that massive cooperation, like you spoke of.
Yes, that's about all the time I have. But I'm wondering, is there anything that you'd like to add before we run off and I say farewell to our audience?
Let's see. One thing to run up: balance your time between video games and real life. Best thing. Because I know there's a period in time when a lot of people would just love to play nothing but video games and love to do nothing but play video games. But I think in everybody's life, it's always a good time to know when to balance out and have like really good gaming sessions, and know when to just take a break and enjoy. You don't even have to go outside or anything. Just enjoy friends' company, or just take a break. You'll find that you come back to a game and enjoy it a lot more, and really just enjoy the time you spend in the game a lot more, I feel.
I agree. So, some good advice there from Spunkify. I'd like to say thank you to everyone for watching this MMO Anthropology interview, and thank you for coming with us, Spunkify.
Oh yeah, no problem. It was great fun.
And to the rest of you, while we're fighting off these wolves, good night and good dreams.
Later.
Do you play online games? Do you have Skype? Then we'd love to interview you on Massive Online Anthropology. Join the fascinating thousands who've spoken about their online gaming experience and be the envy of all your friends. Or at least get the MMO Anthropology Geek Merit Badge. Sorry, no t-shirt. See you then!